Yeah, all the song stuff is over there. Church. I'm Don Ludwig, the Associate Pastor for Family Life, and Scott Delgarno is our Senior Pastor. We're glad that you were able to be here on this particular Sunday as the youth and adults have come back from the South African mission trip last month, and our entire service is about reflecting on that experience. If you are new to this community, know that we are a welcoming and open congregation of faith. That simply means you are welcome no matter where you are on life's or faith's journey. Also know that a copy of today's service is always available on our website beginning Monday morning, as well as the sermon. The hard copy is available on the cupboard in the back. So, Britt, before we give some announcements, Pastor Scott has a word.
There we go. I have a light Sunday this Sunday. I just get to worship with you, which is great. Many of you, not all of you, I imagine, but many of you have received an email on Friday saying that Don Ludwig, who's been here for 20 years almost, is going to have his final Sunday with us at the end of November. Don and Kathy have decided they want to know what a world with weekends looks like again after all that time. And I get it. I understand that, though I haven't had him in 44 years, so that's how that is. Anyway, just wanted to say that we love him to death and always will, and I'm going to keep him on a string. Just know that. And please know that if you have any questions at all about how we do things in Presbyterian world when it comes to things like this, you need just ask me and the Personnel Committee, and we'll make something up.
All right. So today, after the worship service, we invite you to the fellowship hall where we're going to have our barbecue and potluck. So it may take just a little while, 10, 15 minutes before all the hamburgers and hot dogs get out, because the people making all of that are going to be leading the worship service. So just relax, grab something to drink, and in about 10 minutes we'll open up the food lines, and we hope you can join us. One thing we hope to have happen is having one South Africa mission participant at each table, if at all possible. So anybody with the green shirt, you can then ask particular questions that you have about the South Africa trip to them. So reminder that the summer reading is the book Poverty by America. We hope that you're reading it, and it is September 15th that we will be having a discussion after worship on that. This is the week of the Family Promise, where we are hosting, not here in the building, but elsewhere. So if you are interested, if you have not already signed up, please do so. And then Saturday, September 7th, is the Portland Folk Society presenting West, My Friend, which is a great musical concert right here in the sanctuary. And then just to keep your sights on Sunday, September 8th, that is traditionally Welcome Back Sunday. We'll have another just normal potluck, so bring lots of food and lots of activities for the whole family on September 8th. And in the afternoon, after you've eaten, you can drink wine at the home of Judy Wyden's house, Water to Wine at 2 p.m. And then finally, September 15th is that discussion I just mentioned in a moment. So we do have a couple announcements, one from our Visioning Task Force and Kathy Huddleston.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kathy Huddleston, and I'm here to represent the Visioning Task Committee. Session asked us to put together a research plan to learn how our community views Southminster and our programs. and what people think about priorities and visions for the future. One aspect of this survey is the survey that we just released. We'd like all members of the community, members and church members and non-members, to complete a survey by August 28th. The easiest way to do it is online. Want to put the next slide up? The link to the online survey was released in Thursday's latest news and events email. Some people call that the newsletter. And you can see it says, click here to take the survey. So when you click there, go ahead to the next slide, you'll see, it has a heading information first, but it'll lead you through this. And I just wanted to point to that arrow at the bottom that says next. It's in 8 or so screens. So you fill out a screen, then you click next. You can click back, there's a back button. But we want you to fill it out all in one sitting, and it takes maybe 10, 15 minutes to fill out. So just please try to do that as soon as you get around to it, but at least by August 28th. If you're unable to do it on a computer or a phone, I think it works on a phone too, but I would recommend a computer. We've made a few hard copies you can take and return. These will be available on the table by the front door. We strongly encourage everyone to fill it out online because it saves paper and it simplifies our analysis. It goes right into a thing where we can just see how everybody has answered as a group, not so much individually. And you don't have to put your name on the survey. At the end, it has an optional place where you can put your name and phone number if you'd like to talk more with somebody from the Visioning Task Force, and we'll contact you. But if you just want to do it anonymously, that's fine. And if you have any questions, you can ask a member of the Visioning Committee, and those names were also in the newsletter. And I may ask Rayan to put a link somewhere on the website too. So if you have questions, you can email Rayan in the office, the staff email, and she will make sure that you get a link to the survey. But thank you very much. Appreciate your help.
Thank you, Kathy. And Craig Butler is going to tell us about an important happening.
Morning, Southminster. Those of you who don't know me, I'm Craig Butler. I'm the trustee and kind of the budget person again this year. I want you to think about this place you're sitting in and the seat you're sitting on. They've been wonderful. They've allowed us to do a lot of flexible things in this room, move them around, take them all the way out, bring in tables, all kinds of things. But those of you who know me know I'm crazy about archaeology, and these chairs almost meet the definition at 50 years old of being an archaeological artifact. If one of them was left out in our backyard, that might happen to it. We have actually ordered 300 new chairs. And I want to thank the chair committee for their work. Those of you who haven't tried it, there's one right here, I was just sitting in it. They won't be that color, they'll be blue, and they'll be a little different, but this is very similar. I was almost comfortable enough to ask Scott to double the length of his sermons. That's how much better they were. So 300 chairs, well, with inflation, it's pretty pricey. To get the chairs, a couple of racks or some racks to move them around, and we have to pay to have them delivered, will be about $35,400. So we're going to ask you, if you would please, if you're able and willing, to buy your own chair. They will cost $120 each. And we want to run a short campaign for the next 4 weeks. Just fill out a check to Southminster Presbyterian Church, write somewhere on it in all caps, chairs. $120 per person if you can. You can also buy a chair for someone else, and we don't have to have multiples of 120. You can give 50, 25, 20. We'll take anything. We're going to do this through the 8th of September, Welcome Back Sunday, and then we'll be done. But we're getting the order in, and things are about to happen. We even have a group who's willing to take the old chairs and pick them up themselves. So look forward to that. The one last thing I'll mention is at some point, we'll have to have a work party to take all the old chairs out and accept all the new chairs off a truck that will bring them here and deploy them. So, but news at 11 for that. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Craig. So just a reminder that if you could silence your cell phones during worship, that would be very appreciated. Today's lay readers and leaders throughout the service are members of the South African mission team. Stephen Schaefer and Jen Winquist will be playing piano, and Moses Ram is our technical director. So I invite Theo Muzong forward, who is going to get us started as we do our pause for reflection.
These are words from the Buddha. A generous heart, kind speech, and a life of service and compassion are the things which renew humanity.
For all who are able, please stand and join Alpha and Julia in our call to worship.
Like many South Africans, Nelson Mandela had faith in Jesus Christ that sustained him through difficult times. He also looked to Christ as an example of unconditional love and as a proponent of equality. We begin our worship with his words in address to the Zionist Christian Church's Easter conferences in 1994.
The good news born by our risen Messiah, who chose not one race, who chose not one country, who chose not one language, who chose not one tribe, who chose all of humankind.
Yes, all of humankind.
Okay, perfect. I love the way that we all said that, but now I want you guys to say it with a little bit more depth. I'm hearing not one voice, not one race, not one country. I'm like, can I have some volume? We are talking about not one race, not one country. So let's try that one more time, okay? Okay, let's do it. I know we can do it. I trust you guys. Not one race.
Not one race.
Not one country.
Not one country.
Wait, you're supposed to read the second one. Sorry. Not one language.
Not one language.
Not one tribe.
Not one tribe.
Yes, all of humankind.
Yes, all of humankind.
Ooh, that's what I'm talking about. Thank you.
Peace of Christ be with you. Let us offer signs of Christ's peace to one another.
I invite all the children to come forward and sit right here in the front. You need to make sure that you can see the screen because we're going to show a short video. And just to remind you that 18 of us, youth and adults from Southminster, went to South Africa last month for 2 whole weeks. And here is a video that Alpha Banful, our intern, put together.
Cutting an onion.
Yeah, we're cutting onions.
Oh, I'm cutting cabbage.
Okay, we're putting 500
Grams.
500 gram bags of split green peas into each one of these.
All right. So I want to real quickly, we can turn up the lights, no more video. Quickly but meaningful, give thanks to our wonderful college interns. So Alpha, please come up. So Alpha has been with us 8 weeks, about 3/4 time, and has worked with the Interfaith Camp and Bunny and myself, as well as the mission trip, as well as youth and children's programs and some adult things, doing announcements and worship and other things throughout the summer. I have really appreciated our weekly get-togethers where we talk and really have gotten to know Alpha at a very deep level. And she is an amazing human being, very creative, very competent, and very committed to social justice and making the world a better place. And I know that she will be off to great things. She's going to Western Oregon University, transferring from Southern Oregon, and will be starting at Western Oregon as a sophomore in the fall. So, Alpha, your energy has been contagious throughout the summer. So thank you for what you've done for us as a community to get us to liven up a bit. So thank you.
Thank you.
And on behalf of the church. And I'll turn it over to Audrey, Kathleen, and Julia, who are going to do something for the children.
Okay, so right before the video, we went around and we did passing of the peace. Do you know, what do we do during passing of the peace that we do every weekend? Yeah? We shake hands and we say, what do we say? Good morning. Peace be with you. And we look at each other and sometimes we have a little conversation. And these are sometimes people we don't see in a while or sometimes people that we've never met. And it's a good way to kind of say, I see you and you matter and you're important. And you might not see this, you might not ever see this person again, or really, it's just like a less than 1 minute interaction. But it gives the message of like, I see you and you're important. And one word that we can use to describe this is intentional. And that was something that we talked about a lot on the trip, is how can we be intentional? Do you have any ideas of other ways that we can be intentional? Or other ways that we can show someone like, you matter, or I care about you? Do you have any ideas? Yeah?
Like, pray about them?
Yeah? Or maybe you could say thank you if they did something. Those are just some thoughts. Julia has a poster to describe some of the things that we did while we were on our trip.
I know this, the video already kind of showed what we did, but I just want to explain it in more detail. So the first thing we did is we went to Shiloh, which is basically a food bank, and we helped these 3 ladies cook and package food for the children so that they could eat. And it was difficult even when we had 18 people, but these people have been doing this for a long time, and there's only been, it was hard doing this, and we had 18 people, but just imagine doing it. I can't imagine doing it with only 3 people, like working all, like, yeah. And then we went to the school, and it was an after-school program that was also connected to Shiloh. And we played, as you can see on the poster, I mean, if you're in the back, you can't really see it that well, but we played tug of war. We played a bunch of fun games that had, it also had meaning to them. And we, more often than not, we would dance and sing. And it was just really fun. It was a really fun experience. And we also helped the kids out with their homework, and the younger kids, we read with them, although we couldn't really understand or read that well because all the books were in Afrikaans. But then in the picture, it doesn't really say, but we went to this soccer sort of industry, or this soccer place, and they talked a lot about Cape Town and how they wanted to create like a safe space for people to play soccer. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
Bit of an activity for the kids to do. So one thing that's really interesting about flags is a lot of times the different colors mean things. The South African flag doesn't have many specific meanings assigned to it, but you can kind of think about what you think that the different parts mean. The only part that has a concrete, like a specific definition or meaning is this V or Y shape. What that means is it's two different groups coming together and then continuing as one, which is really interesting. So here's what we're going to do. We have these 4 pieces, and what I want you guys to do, you can come over and gather around, and you're going to rebuild this flag. So look up here.
But then there's a picture. We're also get the red and blue wrong. On the
All right.
side. Yes, and then you use that. And
Let's try and have it go down a little bit.
You put this one there. Can I do that? Wait.
You can help. There we go.
Can I help with that one too?
I think it's time to let other people try. Oh, yeah. And look at that. Yeah.
And raise your hand if anyone in the sanctuary can speak Afrikaans. I'm going to teach you. Okay, we do have somebody there. I'm going to teach you something very simple. Repeat after me. Buy a donkey. So that's the language. Buy a donkey means thank you very much. So we thank all the children very much for being such an important part of our church. And we have some things from South Africa that we will send out with money to give the children. And these are gifts from South Africa. And one last question.
I know how to say welcome in Afrikaans.
Oh, how do you say it louder? Thanko. Thankum. Sorry, I'm not good, but that's welcome. Very good, welcome. So we'll have the children go out with Bunny, and then we'll have our theme readings.
Sorry, we have one thing we forgot to do. Oh, yeah, the song. We have a song.
Oh, okay.
song that the kids have been practicing, it's actually a song that came from Southminster that we brought to Cape Town and taught the children there, and they loved this song. And we want to thank the deacons for the idea of this lovely song. So the whole South African team, if we can come up here, and I will come in the front. Okay, kids, so line up right in front of the table here with the flowers and the candles. Okay, Jacob, can you come stand over there? We'll do I See the Love of God in You. Okay, that's okay. You want to be my helper? Okay, ready? I see the love of God in you, the light of Christ comes shining through, and I am blessed to be with you, O holy child of God. I see the love of God in you, the light of Christ comes shining through, and I am blessed to be with you, O holy child of God. Thank you. You're dismissed, kiddos. Good. Thank you. Oh, you want to stay here? No.
I see only one hope for our country, and that is when white men and black men, desiring neither power nor money, but desiring only the good for their country, come together to work for it. I have one great fear in my heart, that one day when they are turned to loving, they will find we are turned to hating. Alan Patton, Cry the Beloved Country.
People love to say, give a man a fish and he'll eat it for a day. Teach a man to fish and he'll eat it for a lifetime. What they don't say is, and it would be nice if you gave him a fishing rod. That's the part of the analogy that's missing. Trevor Noah, Born a Crime.
And the final theme reading is by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Your life belongs to you and you alone. The single story creates stereotypes, and the problem with stereotypes is not that they are untrue, but that they are incomplete. They make one story become the only story. The consequence of a single story is this: it robs people of dignity, and it makes our recognition of our equal humanity difficult.
So I invite the mission panel of speakers to come up and it's gonna stand right here. And when it's ready. So, yeah.
Testing, testing. Okay. Hello, I will be discussing about my reflection of the South African mission trip, but I would like to start off with that it's a privilege to be able to go to South Africa and come back to speak about my experience. There are many contraceptions or misconceptions about Africa that they are dirty, poor, and impoverished. Instead of educating ourselves about the reality and the truth, we trust that one story because that's what the media and what people feed us. We have to acknowledge that we have the power to change the narrative and broaden our perspective on the people and the environment in which we live. Before going to South Africa, I had a single story. I went to Ghana in the 7th grade and I thought that, yeah, Ghana and South Africa are like the same thing, but they're not, because Africa is such a diverse place, and there are so many regions that are similar, yet very distinct. Instead of relying solely on a perspective of my peers or drawing conclusions from them, I need to have done my own research to understand the differences between different African places. One tale might lead us astray because it prevents us from understanding reality and causes us to follow our own beliefs. This is the dangers of a single story. Moreover, I was able to discover the reality for South African children when I was there. I was able to see them going to school, living in the present moment, but then having to go back to the reality, their harsh reality of going back to their squatter homes. I kept thinking to myself, I'm so privileged to be here, so privileged. I was able to take showers while others would do anything for a drop of water on their body. That's a privilege. It's a privilege to be able to be fed breakfast, lunch, and dinner when people scrape by with just one meal a day. That's a privilege. This trip made me step back and recognize that you must be self-aware about your actions and acknowledge what your privilege is. To not educate yourself when you have the tools and the technology to do so is a privilege. That's why the single story is as harmful as it is. We have the accessibility to research and gain more knowledge about things we are unaware about, but we choose not to. My call to action is that we must work on our inner lives in order to change the outer world to create a better one. Change will never occur if we as people don't work together, since we are stronger as a collective. Thank you.
Though many experiences on this trip were impactful, I'd like to take a moment to appreciate and discuss the impact of two of them. The first was District 6. District 6 was a predominantly colored district up until the 1960s when it was declared a whites-only area. Over the course of almost 2 decades, over 60,000 people were forcibly moved. The buildings were bulldozed, and although there were plans to redevelop the area, international and local pressure made this difficult for the government. Thus, much of the seized land remained undeveloped. The residents were moved to an area about 25 kilometers away called the Cape Flats. This area consisted of housing complexes, police stations, schools, etc., but had little to no public gathering spaces, parks, or any community centers. We took a walk along a major road, and our guide pointed out where different landmarks used to be. He lived in District 6 before apartheid and remembers the community that used to live there. After our walk, he took us to the District 6 Museum and provided context for everything we saw inside. The museum itself was incredibly impactful, as the first thing you see when you walk in is a huge map on the floor of what District 6 used to look like. The walls were covered in photos, each with a plaque explaining the context in which they were taken. As we walked through the museum, one thing kept repeating in my head: 60,000. How is it possible to cause this much displacement and suffering in the name of any cause? This sentiment stuck with me for the rest of the trip. The other experience I want to highlight has a much more hopeful message. This was the soccer ministry. Now, at first, this seemed like a very strange combination. Soccer and faith. But the more we spoke with the people running the program, the more sense it made. What is faith but a gathering of disparate peoples united in belief? What is soccer but a group of different people with different life experiences putting aside their differences to cooperate and play a game? The idea behind the soccer ministry was that the biggest problem in the community was not poverty or violence, but fatherlessness. Now, I initially didn't understand what this meant. But the more I listened, the more I could see what they meant. Many children in the poorest communities do not have a father figure at all. And most are raised by the community instead of by their individual parents. With few role models or disciplinarians around, they stray to other groups to give them a sense of purpose. Boys tend to join gangs, while girls tend to become pregnant in their teens. The goal of the soccer ministry is to give children and teens a place to belong, an adult they feel they can come to if they need help, a father figure in the form of their coach, and a sense of community. The soccer ministry aims to intervene in the lives of these children at around the age of 7, and children and teens can join late. But while children and teens can join later, it's most effective to start around 7, as this has the best results in preventing the aforementioned gangs and pregnancies. These two experiences stuck to me for many reasons, but one of the most interesting ways they stuck with me was how they seemed to create one continuous story. District 6 was a tragedy, leading to the widespread destruction of history and the forced relocations of tens of thousands of people. This was the displacement. The soccer ministry, on the other hand, was groups of people seeing the issues in their communities, vastly affected by the displacement of apartheid, and actively trying to find a sustainable solution to help these communities. This was the healing. These together created a narrative that is incomplete, yet compelling all the same.
During our time in South Africa, we had the privilege of attending a local church service, and it was an experience I'll never forget. The congregation welcomed us with open arms, clearly excited to have us there. We started by introducing ourselves, and soon we were all singing together, which was a joyful and uplifting experience. One part of the service that really stood out to me, a few people went up and they shared some personal stories from their week and how they'd seen God work in their lives. One story in particular was truly inspiring. A woman talked about how she had been diagnosed with cancer and went in for a checkup. To her amazement, the doctor told her that there was no trace of cancer anymore. She shared this incredible news with the others in the waiting room, only to find out they had all received the same diagnosis. They were all cancer-free. Hearing this story was incredibly moving, and it was a powerful reminder of the strength of faith in the community. After the service, we joined everyone for a meal of bread and soup. It was a great opportunity to chat with people from the church and talk about the differences and similarities between our cultures. One of their favorite conversation starters was American politics. They seemed to know a lot more than I knew about American politics. One of the most inspiring things, though, about our visit was seeing how deeply faith influences the lives of the people there. No matter the challenges they face, they remain happy and hopeful, relying on their faith in God to get them through tough times. This strong sense of faith also seems to make them incredibly welcoming to everyone they meet. It's such a contrast to how things can be in America, where it's not uncommon to wave and smile at someone and get a cold response. In South Africa, it felt completely normal to greet everyone with a smile or a wave, and it was refreshing to be in a place where warmth and kindness were just a part of everyday life. Hein and his wife truly made us feel at home and helped us in so many ways. They were also two of the most forgiving people I've ever met. Our group had some culture shock once we got there, which led to certain things being interpreted in a disrespectful manner that we honestly had no idea could come off that way. Like being loud, or like the back and forth banter with one another, like just common things that we were so used to doing around each other. But everyone there was so forgiving, and they were so kind, and were able to let us know in such a respectful and kind, understanding manner. And they were helping us navigate in an understanding way and realize those habits. And we couldn't have asked for better leaders and lifelong friends.
While in South Africa, one of our projects was helping an after-school camp for elementary and middle school children. Since it's winter in South Africa right now, the kids go to school as usual during the day. After school, they came to a large building. This building was surrounded by portable classrooms, making it easy to teach them in separate spaces. Nearby, there was also a playground where the kids could enjoy some outdoor fun. On the first day that we were there, our main job was to introduce ourselves and get to know the kids. We moved around from table to table, chatting with kids to learn about their interests and start building a connection with them. These kids were very curious about the way we spoke and acted because it was very different from what they were used to. Over the next 2 weeks, we got to know these kids and their stories. The leader of the children's camp was a middle-aged man from Zimbabwe. All the children adored and respected him. He knew over 100 kids by name. He taught the kids about responsibility and leadership. What amazed me the most was when it was time to transition, he called upon the leaders. I was expecting him to be talking to adults, but the leaders he was talking to were anywhere from 7 to 12 years of age. That day, I learned that leaders were made and not born. In the book that we read, Trevor Noah, he said people love to say, give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day, but teach a man a fish and he'll eat for a lifetime. Katani was an incredible example of teaching children to fish and supporting their education, and being a father to fatherless children. Something that makes me think about my role of how I can impact others is use my privilege to mentor kids to be the next generation of leaders. I've also learned that many want to fish but have no fishing pole. Some kids don't have a fishing pole. Equality and equity aren't the same things. When I go to college, I plan to be involved or start a club that's working towards hearing everyone's voice and racial equity.
I just wanted to thank you so much for supporting our trip. There were many points where we felt our Southman family with us. This experience took me so far out of everyday life and created many points of deep reflection and long conversations. So here were a few for me. To resist the single story. If you want to explore this further, we watched an excellent TED Talk together on the danger of a single story by Chimamanda Adichie. And she explains, as you've heard, that we are each more than one circumstance or feature. And she says that the danger in a single story and the stereotype that it creates is that it isn't untrue, but it is incomplete. So over time, that one story then becomes the only story for both the teller and the subjects. The country of South Africa, through its history of colonialism and apartheid, is at the highest level of inequity in the world. Poverty is extreme, expansive, and exists alongside an abundance of wealth. In a recent report, the World Bank commented that the belief is that the rich are being rewarded for taking risks, having superior skills, hard work, and an unusual determination. And continues, but if wealth were a result of hard work, African women would be the richest people on the planet. So the continuation of that first story of poverty is that many do experience utter devastation, and alongside that, have developed incredible resilience, strong community, tenacity of spirit, creativity for survival, and desire for joy and connection. This was really impactful to see such complexity in person. At the soccer ministry we visited, they trained soccer coaches to work in a community that's considered the murder capital of the world. Long-term persecution, displacement, lack of identity, lack of work, and like mentioned, the lack of father figures funnel naturally into gang violence. The soccer coaching, however, was broad, trauma-informed, and highly applicable in both sport and life, and had elements like, be where your feet are. It's not about me. Spot the gap, close the gap. Intentionality. And posed a powerful question of, What breaks your heart in your community? What will you do about it? It's impressive to see the focused aid that the United States government offers South Africa for impact toward health, education, environment, a digital economy, governance, and human rights. As we got to drive through thriving coastal areas with solid infrastructure, roads, manufacturing, and businesses, we saw the lasting impact of investing in change and economic development. And again, yet more complexity. We saw that in just a handful of years, an entire government could move away from apartheid. However, you cannot as easily undo the social constructs, beliefs, and deep divisions that had been developed to support it. Lastly, we got to be witness to the power of a few passionate people. At the food bank, we chopped, peeled, and packaged food. We then come to understand that the amount of food that the 18 of us prepared, which was a great deal, is typically done by 3 women every day who work as fast as they can to prepare as much as they can to feed as many as they can each day. This trip will have a lasting impact on me. I'm committed to learning more about current political policies and staying invested in systemic solutions as they develop, to vote, and to remember that there is always something you can do or someone to support, like serving food at Blanchet House, taking part in the Christmas basket program at Vos Elementary School down the street, the dozens of other meaningful mission projects of our church, but also a neighbor, a friend, and to keep asking myself and others, what breaks your heart? What will you do about it?
During the trip in South Africa, we got to see a lot of disparity. I think it's the one country in the world that has the biggest gap between rich and poor. We saw a lot of hope. We saw a lot of despair, and in the midst of that, we were forced to ask ourselves, like, are we living in the same world? We traveled 10,000 plus miles, each of us, different groups, some longer than others. And the one thing that kept going through my mind was, whatever your hands find, do it with all your might. That was the story of Katani, not from South Africa, still doesn't have a status to work in South Africa, yet dedicating his life to make sure that fatherless children have a place to have one meal a day, to play, to do homework. If they didn't do the homework there, they wouldn't do homework that day because there's no light at the house, because there's 10 of them living in a 10 by 10 that got flooded. It made us pause. And that question from the leader of the soccer program about what breaks your heart, that breaks my heart. And when I take it back here, and I'm looking at people at the light when I'm driving, and I'm asking myself, what kind of country are we? Where we have people on the street corner who don't have food. Yeah, there will always be people trying to play the system. But on the off chance that the person sitting in the street corner is not one of those, what are we doing about it? And so I want to thank everyone for having afforded us this unbelievable opportunity. And this is just a testament of what kind of community we have at Southminster. Thank you.
Okay, last but not least, I have written a poem, and it is about the word sawubona, which is an Afrikaans word that means I see you. So, yes. Sawubona, I see you. Can you see me? Then why did you pass me by when I waved? Are you too stuck in your own world to see those around you? Again, can you see me? Oh, now you can. Did you see the pain on the faces of those who would die to be on American soil? What I really see is you not recognizing your privilege, the privilege to be here, the privilege to not acknowledge the world around us. The time is here to wake up and believe that we can create a better world, a world where no children goes hungry, a world where no child doesn't have a bed to sleep on. I see you. I see you wanting to create a change. But the first change is you. Sawabona. Amen.
I invite the ushers to come forward as we give of our tithes and offerings. And our special music is by none other than Michael Bazong, who asked to sing a song while we were on the mission trip, and we were all just blown to tears and blown to pieces. So, Michael.
This song is titled One Voice by Barry Manilow. I don't know, maybe some of you know this song. Maybe. Okay, here's how it goes. One voice singing in the darkness. All it takes is one voice singing so they hear what's on your mind. And when you look around, you'll find there's more than one voice singing in the darkness, joining with your one voice. Each and every note, another octave, and our joys and fears unlocking for only one voice will start it on its own. Give me just one voice facing the unknown, and then that one voice will never be alone. It takes that one voice. Da 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 da. It takes that one voice, just one voice, singing in the darkness, joining with your one voice. Shout it out and let it ring. Just one voice. It takes that one voice, and everyone will sing.
And let's pray the serenity prayer, as is our tradition on mission trips. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. Please be seated. And South Africa Choir Music People, please come up. As we began the service thinking about the 1994 words of Nelson Mandela, the good news born by our risen Messiah, who chose not one race, who chose not one country, who chose not one language, who chose not one tribe, who chose all of humankind. So as is tradition on our mission trips, similar to what we do when we come up for communion. We are going to have a hand washing station, 3 of them up front. So we ask you to come forward to one of the 3 hand washing stations, and then we'll file all around the sanctuary. And we're simply going to ask you, when you put your hands above the basin, one of the youth or team members will pour water on your hands, and the other team member will towel it off as a reminder of Jesus and the service that he gave to us as an example. As you put your hands above the waters, simply say the good news, and you will hear back what we hear back. You will hear back, all are chosen. That's why we do mission. Let's celebrate our mission to make the world a better place in our service. So before we sing our last short hymn, I have somebody I want to introduce everyone to. Our newest foreign exchange student that's living in our community. So Carolyn Kwam, who is a member here, would knows how to pronounce this young lady's name from none other than South Africa. So we want to welcome her to our community. So Carolyn.
I'd like to introduce you to Homotso Nong. She's here from Johannesburg for this school year, and she's staying at our house right now. We're so happy to have her. So since she's here, and this is a celebration of South Africa and the trip, we wanted to just give her a chance to say just a little bit about herself.
Good morning. I hope you're all well. I'm Homotso Nong. I'm an exchange student from South Africa. I'm on the KLS exchange program, so it's funded by the US State of Department. So my aim is to learn the culture and also exchange my culture, to learn more about the American civil society as well. And thank you for welcoming me into your family. Thank you so much. Bye, dankie.
So you all know Afrikaans now. So let's just make the one verse of the final hymn our commitment to each other and our benediction. If you are able to grab somebody's hand next to you, and let's celebrate we are one in the Spirit. If you go into Beaverton Gallery, give us about 10 or 15 minutes to get the burgers and hot dogs ready. But meander over there and we'll fellowship together.